Anthony Mantha. That is the question. Who, for what,
How much
and how much?
and where?
Where?
I'm Chris.
I'm Josh.
This is Wingscast,
Swings cast.
and we're talking should the Red Wings trade Anthony Mantha?
No.
There's okay. Josh says no. I say
And that will be the end of the video. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell.
that's it.
Just kidding. But yeah, what do you think?
So there's two decent arguments to this. I think there's the they should trade him. He's old in comparison to the rest of.
How old is he? 25.
He's 26.
Okay.
So you look at Larkin's 23 and Zadina's, obviously I think Zadina's what 20. Zadina be 21. Uh, and then the people like the bigger pieces, the Zadinas, the Siders, the Raymonds, um, Valeno, Johansson,
Mhm.
all these guys are now on the younger end, right? I mean, most of them are sub 20. So I mean, you think he's 7, 8 years older than some of these kids. And the only one really older than Larkin at this point is Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi's a year older than Larkin.
Okay, so who at 26 right now has his skill, do you think, if not better?
His skill,
Yeah.
NHL wise, you mean, like
Yeah.
overall? Oh, I mean, there's a lot.
You think he's worth 5 million?
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
mean, even in this bad season where he's not doing too well, he's on a 20 goal pace, 40 points.
He's leading the team, right?
Heroic's leading the team, 22
Not in
points.
goals, 10. It's
Him
tied.
and Fabry are tied,
Okay.
10 each. So, I see the argument. Like, if you can get something for him and you can kind of push the team younger and you can kind of skew, because I guess like the ideal scenario would be you build as many of your core assets in the same age range to extend a window,
Okay.
right? I mean that makes sense. It also might screw your salary cap.
Sure.
So there's some of that you might have to kind of think about. You can't have.
So you want to stagger the ages, is what you're saying?
I think you want to stagger them, but
From 23 to 18?
yeah, I think that's probably a good range.
Okay.
And then you got to think like if guys aren't getting a lot of ice time, even if they're maybe pretty decent, they're gonna have a lower cap just because they're not gonna produce as much likely. So
Well, I mean, Mantha doesn't really play a physical game, which he should.
he
So, I
does and
mean,
he doesn't. I mean,
longevity wise, probably has what, 10 more years if he
probably.
keeps it up?
I think he have good. Yeah, I think he make 33, 34, 35 years in the NHL.
Yeah, he's a big guy. So, I mean, I guess it just depends on his injury window. He has had injuries in the past. He has fought.
They're
He likes to fight. He's mean.
they're pretty
So
superfluous injuries. None of them are really
broke his hand, right?
broke his hand. Yeah, I think twice.
Yeah, no big deal. Just broke his hand, right?
It's not like a concussion or a back
Right,
injury or an MCL or something like that.
right.
ACL. So there's that. There's the
Okay.
he's older. He's worth something. If you can, you know, bring more pieces in that like younger than Larkin age range, that kind of grounds Zadina mindset of where the team's really kind of going. Okay, you make that argument, but then the next question is, does he return enough? Can you get like what do you need for Mantha? Like if you're trading him, what do you need?
Right now, if I was trading right now, baseline, don't call me unless it's first round or one is involved. Baseline. All right, we're at a point now where it's people are looking for people like Mantha. Mantha can score 30. I think he can.
I think with the right center, yeah, I think he can.
Yes, yes. So you got to factor that in. I do think baseline first round and maybe an up and coming prospect.
Yeah. So for me, um, I gotta get a center prospect. It's the black hole of this farm system. We have no young, obviously, high potential centers. Larkin's a good center. He's a bottom of the league first, 1C, and that's
Right,
great. From where he got drafted, that's great.
right.
But teams aren't winning the cup with, anything less than star centers.
Sure, sure. I mean, you got
I
to be
mean,
good. That's you got to be a complete center though, which whatever, with Blashill and his two-way game. But completely agree. Maybe Larkin is kind of transitioning into that two-way. But think about it like this. So what if Larkin 1C, Valeno 2C, maybe, Fabry 2C, maybe.
yeah, but yeah.
You got to
See,
see how
the
Valeno
ideal the ideal
goes.
is Larkin is the 2C. That's ideal.
But who's your 1C there?
I don't think he's in the
That's
system.
what you're looking
That's what I'm
for?
saying. Like that's
Okay.
what you've got to find out there
Who's
somehow.
out there right now that you would like to have that is
Uh,
not in that is in the system for that team but in the farm system?
Who's Edmonton got in college right now? Man, I can't remember the kid's name. He's fantastic. He's playing NCAA. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. There's a few out there.
Do you go big or
What do you mean?
just do you go big in the center because you got Rafs who's big?
I just go for overall ceiling. Like I'm not really worried about size.
Okay.
I'm just talking about overall ceiling and skill. Um, Preferably be a righty because we don't have one.
Hmm.
Um, it's Niederbach a righty? He might be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Niederbach's another guy maybe comes up. But I think you need to find a good center prospect. And obviously you're talking about like if you're trading to a contender, you're talking low first round pick.
Sure. So you'd have to get a prospect, which
Yeah,
Toronto the cap may not make sense, but Toronto is offering their prospect was his name Dubas said he would put his top prospect on the line
yeah.
for the right person. Do you think
Um,
they go for Hall? Somebody's going to overpay for Hall.
I don't think so. I think Hall's kind of he's like
SOL in Buffalo because he's going to leave Buffalo.
I think Hall went to a place where he was going to get a ton of minutes, and he got a shot to play, with Eichel, great center, and nothing happened. And I
Well,
mean,
here's
the entire NHL has
there's
seen it.
another thing. Do you move Eichel if you're Buffalo? Think
I
of
th-
the
I think
return on
they're
that.
gonna listen to it. I don't know. You can't do it at the deadline. It's almost impossible.
Well, if they cut, what's he making right now?
10
Nine,
mil.
10. So maybe you cover half.
It's too long. I think he's got another 4 or 5 years on that.
Right team, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, the right team,
There's
Columbus.
a trade. Yeah, that's probably the shot in the arm they need. It's what anybody needs. You mean
Columbus would have to trade a lot. But anyways, I mean,
they don't have anybody though.
you got
Shoot.
Seth Jones, and you got. I mean, it's the value's out there. It's just you want the center and the defenseman. That's kind of what they did with Johansson to begin with. They traded Johansson out, got Seth Jones. That was a win.
Yeah,
Um,
hell yeah, that is.
but anyways, so yeah, so Mantha needs to return, especially when like if it's a top 10 pick, then you gotta kind of not in this draft, not in the 21 draft,
Hmm.
but if you got a top 10 pick in the 22 draft for Mantha, and I don't know, maybe a little something else, I think you'd have to consider that.
I think he will. I just think there's going to be have to be. He's got to be NHL ready next year. Whoever that prospect is.
Well, I'm saying even if it wasn't for the prospect, I'm saying if you had Mantha for like a 2022 like top 10, top 8 pick only,
Okay, then yeah,
it's a
in
gamble. It's
2022.
a big gamble because I mean, top 10 picks don't turn out. So you've got an NHLer and you're gambling on the upside, right? In
Right.
that case. And really you're making a gamble anyways when you're talking about prospects and picks and like you never know. They just might not make it.
They might not. I mean, it's like with the goalies,
So
everything.
that's
Everybody's a
why I always
crapshoot.
get. I'm just gonna go on a small rant here. That's when like when you hear all these people like, oh, well, we'll get a first rounder and that'll be
Hmm.
enough. And it's like, no, you've got a guy who plays in the NHL. That's what you already have. You have a guy who's going to score 20 plus goals in the NHL. First rounders flame out and don't make the NHL all the time.
Right.
So just getting a first rounder where it sounds nice and you're going to have an extra pick on the first night of the draft and that's fun. It is not enough value for a top six forward.
You think now you're saying he's top six? You think he's top six?
Mantha?
Yeah,
Yeah, Mantha's a top six forward for
on
sure.
any team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mantha, I mean, you're talking a guy who can easily score 20 goals a year. I don't know. I don't
So
know too many third lines out there that are scoring 20
no,
goals.
no. In general, 20 goals together, maybe not. But I mean, it. What if Raymond comes up? Raymond's going to play next year. That's my guess.
I'm guessing no. I think
A
Raymond plays
full
another.
season.
He plays another year in Sweden after the injury.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. Say he does come up. He contribute. He's a contributor. He's going to play. We don't know what the incoming coach is going to do. So say he comes up.
But Blash?
No, Torts, right? No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gonna burn it to the ground, right? That would have been the way to go, right? To bring Torts in, tell him, hey, John, listen, we need you to burn this thing to the ground. That would have been the way to do it if you're Ken
You
Holland.
know what? As much as I think Torts does some good in some places, his press conferences just drive me insane. Like you think Blash press conferences are bad? Torts just sits there and basically is like, no, no, I'm not going to talk to you. No, yeah, I'm not going to answer that. All right, I'm leaving.
At least you know where you stand with. No, at least you know what you're getting towards a Blashill. We're gonna get some stupid ass answer every time. At least I get a no. No, is Bert ready? No. Okay. What's wrong with them? I don't know. Now that's BS. Everybody knows what's going on there. But anyway, yeah. I mean, back to the Mantha. I think if Raymond comes up, you get that. If Valeno comes up, because Lane will be in AHL next year, right? For sure.
I think Lano's in the AHL next
Yeah,
year.
he'll start out there,
Yeah,
depending on
he should be
what's
playing 1C in Grand Rapids next year.
sure. Then you got Cider, who's definitely playing next year.
Cider will be in the NHL opening night.
So this team's going to look vastly different next year, honestly, because you got the expansion draft. Who do you protect there? You
You're
protect
gonna lose. You're
Mantha
gonna
gets that
lose.
far.
You're gonna lose to Kaiser, or
Yeah,
you're gonna lose like a Chase
like,
Pearson or Dominic Turgeon or a Chalowski, or those. That's who you're
that's
gonna
low
lose.
risk, right? That's low risk. Let him have a
Chalowski
chance.
may or may not be. I don't know, to be seen. But yeah, probably that's all probably low risk. We're not losing a lot. We don't have a lot to lose. I mean, let's face it. We're not like
Well, everything's an advantage now with us. That's the great thing about it. If we lose somebody that we haven't protected, it's an advantage. Like, okay, he's out. Maybe we can bring one of the younger guys up to kind of fill the spot.
yeah. I mean,
So
Slotzer is much really more of an absence now than we like of Cap what it used to be, right?
yeah, man, I miss the old days. No cap. I don't have to worry about the cap, the cap, the cap, the cap, the cap. I miss paying Fedorov 30 million, right? That just would have been great. I wish these teams have it. Despite what Bettman says about, I almost said Beckman, despite what Bettman says and about we would have lost the billions. It's like you got that TV money coming in. You bring ESPN, you're going to get Bauer back into it heavily, CCM back into it heavily, where they're going to have to be on the ice now because the audience is bigger. So money's going to come rolling in. I would like to see that salary cap at 100 million at one point.
I think eventually it's gonna get there. The problem with that is these like COVID, years and all this lost revenue. Basically, how the deals are structured, like
Yeah,
it's gonna take a few years, but the ESPN deal is gonna make a big deal on that. But that's the other problem with all this is that like Mantha can give you 20 goals for I think he's at 5.5. Is that right?
right. Good center 30. So depending on who gets it, he goes to Edmonton. Like we talked about that. Plays against what Dryside plays with Drysidle.
Yeah, he plays second line with Drysdale. That'd be cool. But again, it's just all this cap
Imagine if we had
problems.
Drysidle on this team, man. I think we're playoff contender.
You have Drysdale Larkin
Drysidle, Larkin, who's on that first line? Drysidle, and then you have what? Fabry, Mantha.
with Drysdale.
Yeah.
No,
Then
you'd have
Larkin,
Zadina.
Bird.
Zadina would be
Oh, Zadina. I didn't even think about
yeah.
that.
You got to have Zadina.
Zadina, then Mantha. Oh, gee, that'd be the
That'd be a fun line.
highest scoring first line by far in the league.
I don't know about that.
That'd be sick. I
Mc-
mean, that guy just some of the plays that guy's makes.
Toronto probably outscore it, but McDavid
They
might
don't play
outscore it by
anybody.
himself
They don't play anybody.
right now.
Who'd they play last year? I mean, they played us, obviously. Who the hell
Um,
cares? Ottawa? I mean, it's whatever. I don't like Toronto. My father-in-law's a Toronto fan. We go back and forth all the time. But that being said, Mantha, baseline, plus an up-and-coming
okay,
prospect.
so you're taking at least a first
At least a first
and a prospect
and a prospect.
minimum. I'm saying good, like high end center prospect, or at least a high end prospect. I mean, you could take a D prospect too. Our D pipeline's kind of full, but I guess you could always trade out. Um, yeah, I think a lower first and
Yeah, I don't think you mess with the D right now. Johansson coming in. He's going to be fringe next 2 years.
he's gonna play another year in Sweden. Then he'll probably come to the AHL, and then he'll be up. And it's gonna take time for a lot of these guys, but
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm actually gonna go on like the thing like yeah, that all sounds good, but
Mm.
I don't trade him.
You're not trading him.
I don't trade him. I think the value's too low. Yeah, I think you wait till he at least scores 30, and then you see, or at least these high 25s. He makes over 50 points. He hasn't done that yet. I think right now it's kind of a lull, and you'd sell a little low, not as low as Athanasiou was sold, but low.
That's you just needed to put weight on. Honestly,
I don't think he's put much weight on it.
he needs
But
to put
he's tearing it up in
muscle.
LA.
He is, but I mean,
So
who's he playing against? San Jose. Who's up there? Vegas, Colorado.
Vegas,
Not a lot
Colorado,
of big defensemen. I mean, besides Pietrangelo and who else is out there? I mean,
Burns, Carlson,
which are terrible right now. Besides Burns, Burns just scores goals. That's all. He's just a forward.
yeah, he's a forward.
He's like a fourth forward out there.
Well, he's playing with Doughty. You got the guys. You got Chikrin and OEL.
It'd be interesting if Doughty goes somewhere. That'd be.
It's too much money again.
He has a lot of money. Though.
Too much
What the
money,
hell were
way
they
too
thinking,
long.
man?
I don't know. They're just paying him for the
Wow.
cups, and it's hurting them.
Whatever.
I don't trade him. I don't trade Mantha.
I don't want to trade him either. I don't want to trade him, but you've got to go high on this one and make someone overpay.
Yeah, you have to win that trade
You have to
because
win it.
he's kind of like the last. He's the last guy who's not, I mean, he's not really a vet, let's say, but he's the last guy that, he's gonna age out before we're a contender. And he's gonna kind
Okay,
of be the last guy in that range that does. So you and that has considerable value.
okay,
So I think if you're going to make that trade, you have to win it. You can't gamble on it real hard, I guess. So you can't take like middling prospects that you kind of liked, and someone's mom said they were good, and
I wish he was about 20, 22, 23. But Holland slow rolled him, slow played it, did this. We got to make sure they're ready to go when they come up. What the hell? Whatever.
oh, the old marinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna marinate in that until we get back, at least get back in the playoffs. I mean, that's gonna be, I mean, maybe 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, I'm gonna sit in that and I'm gonna be bitter about it. I'm gonna talk about Flash. I'm gonna talk about Howard
Old
until
Jimmy,
we get back in. James.
James Howard.
Jimmy plays good. James doesn't.
Ooh. All right.
All
I
right.
don't have anything on Mantha. I
I'm
keep
good.
him. I keep him unless you're guaranteed to win the trade.
Guaranteed to win. Okay. I like that.
All right. Like, subscribe, comment. Um, Check out wingscast.com.
We
We're
talk
always
about everything on there. All of this goes on there. We take questions.
Yep.
Definitely check us out.
Other than that, have a good weekend.
See ya.
See ya.